Hey, everybody, this is Barry Mankin here with the Holistic Home Health Podcast. We're here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have an exciting episode for you today. I don't get to do these very often, so we're trying to do once a month, but we'll kind of see how it goes. We have another testimonial for you from an important client who's a wonderful lady. I want to introduce you to Mandy Irwin. Thank you so much for coming, Mandy, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a process, her situation on her house, how we got to this point. We have walked through a lot together. And so we've known each other for what, a couple of years now?
2 years now.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about how that started. We're going to talk about her pain points that she had, the reason she called us in the first place, and different contractors that have been involved, and how we got to a point to where we can finally say, thank you, God, for where we're at now.
Yeah.
Right? So why don't you just introduce yourself again and just tell us how you got to this point. Give us just a little bit of history on maybe some medical side, and when you first moved into this house, what were you experiencing?
Yeah. Okay. So about 6 years ago, we moved into my beautiful dream house, just like I had always hoped it to be, so much more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. And after living in the house for, I guess it was like about 4 years, we started to see that our daughter was getting sicker and sicker. And there was a breaking point for my daughter where we very quickly were able to get a diagnosis of PANDAS. Mm-hmm. And throughout that process of my daughter becoming really sick, I was just thinking it through. We had eaten so healthy. I had not used chemicals in the house. There were a lot of things that I was already pursuing for our wellness, but I didn't know what was sending her over the edge, and I knew that it had to be something. Mm-hmm. And so the crazy part of the story was I was praying and I was just asking God, like, what is this? What am I missing? Show me what I'm missing. Mm. And in my head popped up the picture of this little baby refrigerator that we had in the butler's pantry. Mm-hmm. And I went and I pulled the baby refrigerator out, and there was mold all underneath the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. And I immediately called you. Mm-hmm. I found you on the internet, I think. Mm-hmm. And I called right away because I thought, okay, maybe this is a mold issue, because I've had mold illness issues in the past as well. And I didn't know how deep they went until we started this second part of the journey. But the mold under the refrigerator, I don't even think was actually the issue. It just revealed the bigger systemic issue that I had going on with my house. The house wasn't tall enough. We had water intrusion in the crawl space. And then there were some issues with uninsulated toe kick cabinet vents, and stuff just coming up from the crawl space. And I think from my understanding, it wasn't a massive amount of mold that we even had, but that small amount was enough to do a lot of damage for my little girl.
Yeah.
So when we had you come out, it was great, because then we could see what are the sources of the issue, and you gave us guidance on what steps to take to get through the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is really interesting because you didn't really know. I mean, you had some sense of what you had come into this house with, but this kind of brought up all that history.
Yes.
So let's do this. We have that initial time where we know we had a pain point in the house. You were experiencing something. You knew that there were some health issues that were probably associated with this. But then, what did you bring into this from other homes? What other diagnosis did you have coming into this home? You said you had a history from other homes.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because going forward into this, we need context on how this affects the health of the inhabitants, to say a lot of times these things get triggered, and you don't even know your sensitivities until you get re-triggered into something. Then you got to kind of go backwards to say, oh, we were here and this happened, and we were here, and now this house, what do we need to do, and how clean do we need to get it?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
So the first house that my husband and I lived in was the house he grew up in, and it was very special. We had a sweet little house, one-level ranch home, and one day when my husband was in the other room, I accidentally pulled all the carpet up. And when I did that, there was mold. It was a big dust cloud. I was sicker than I'd ever been with a sinus infection from pulling that up. And looking back at that, after we got married, I started to suffer with some health issues. I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with my son. And, that comes from cellular damage. And cellular damage can often come from all types of places, but mold will really do it. And then after I had my son, I had a diagnosis of Lyme disease. And I was really sick. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was gaining weight. I was passing out, fainting. And it was really hard. And then I had a lot of food allergies on top of it. So, I think there were a lot of things that I didn't understand from a health perspective when I was young. And I didn't know how much the mold in that house was affecting us, but we'd never had the HVAC cleaned. We didn't know a thing about it. And so I also had a lot of mold in my car. And I had a friend say, "Ooh, the car smells terrible of mold." I said, "I didn't know what it was." But the rear headlight was leaking water consistently. It was just in the back of my minivan. So we got rid of that car. We wound up moving, and I started to heal. And so at some point, there was no detection of Lyme disease whatsoever. I was feeling a lot better, doing really great.
Just being out of that environment.
Just being out of that environment. And I changed the way that I ate. I drank so much Diet Coke. I was a fiend for Diet Coke, and I just drank a ton of that. But there were other things in my health that I just didn't know any better.
Right.
But as I started to learn about that, I completely healed, and I was in great health and doing really well when we moved out here to Nashville.
And then before the dream house, where were you at? Were you somewhere between that?
Yep. We had a home in Birmingham. So it was the house that we moved into when we first got married. And then we had 2 other homes in between. And then we had another relatively new home in Birmingham before we moved here.
And no issues in either one of those?
No, I was doing great.
That's great.
I felt fantastic.
And Birmingham's it's sticky down there.
Yeah. Very humid, very hot, very unmanaged humidity inside the homes. Nobody ever talked anything about humidity in a house. I'd never heard of it.
Right, exactly. Well, that's interesting because, when we had, and this is a while ago, right? So you have all these issues on the front end. Your body recognizes this stuff. It says, "Hey, I don't want to be sick again."
Yeah.
There's no what we would call triggers in these other homes at that time. You've done a lot of proactive things. You're starting to live intentionally, it sounds like, which everybody needs to live intentionally. All right. So that has to do with health and all kinds of things. But so many people don't live that way until they have a pain point.
Yeah.
And they have to address them I have to do this now. I have to.
Yeah.
But just living intentionally, whether it's your health or your finances or anything, will change your life for the better. And I think a lot of people really, especially when they're young, they don't really realize that. They don't really understand those benefits. So that's something that we need to, I think, teach in school. So
absolutely,
kids, live intentionally. But different soapbox for a different day. With that said, you have all this history already. Your daughter has this history. Tell me about your husband or anybody else in the family have any other issues during that same timeline?
I think they were slow grinding type of symptoms, like maybe allergy, irritation. I noticed every night I was getting itchy eyes and watery, just messy. And I'd just be like, I never had sinus problems until I moved here to Tennessee. And later we found out I had a mold source in my closet from the HVAC. And my husband, just tired, overly tired, but not anything near what my daughter was starting to experience. And I think that, like you were mentioning, we had similar lifestyles, but I'm a bigger person and she's a little person. And so it's all related. I had something called alpha-gal and I had a lot of extreme food allergies come up. And I think that's potentially related to the mold. Just it can do so much damage to your gut. So, and then my middle daughter was having some trouble too with some symptoms as well. And my son seemed to be doing really well, but on his blood work, there's some mold stuff going on and some little symptoms that maybe you would just chalk up to being a teenager, I think could have really been related to the mold as well.
If I'm hearing you right, the males in the household, didn't have the same amount of manifestation of these
Correct.
symptoms.
Yes.
And which is interesting. We talked a little bit about this before. So, and I'm just going to preface this and say, obviously, I am not a doctor, even though we have this AKA Dr. House thing on our thing. It's just a little tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. So I am not a doctor. However, what I find a lot is that males in the household typically will, unless there's like a specific sensitivity to something, in a lot of cases, especially if they're bigger or more muscular or whatever, for lack of a better way of saying it, we're kind of dense. So, but I mean that structurally. Other than like size and mass, it's that density. And so there's some level of resistances as far as it affecting you. Yeah. And I'm sure I don't want a blanket statement to say that men are stronger or anything like that. I'm just saying I see that a lot in families, because a lot of times the husbands are like, "You're crazy. We don't, I'm fine." Yeah. And I cannot tell you how many times that I've dealt with that in the field.
Right.
And so it's interesting that that's that same type of scenario.
Yes. I think that you're right. Muscle is medicine, and the more muscle you have, the more medicine you have on board in your body. Yeah. And women are affected much more by mast cell activation than men are, and I think that's potentially part of the reason why.
Yeah. I like that you said muscle is medicine, because that's a good phrase.
Yes.
Muscle is medicine.
It's one of my mantras.
There you go. That's a good one. I like that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to the house. So we have a diagnosis. Now we have, if I remember correctly, we had some hidden mold.
Yeah.
Did we do any moisture mapping at that time to look at the floor? I think we did a little bit right out front, and we had moisture under the flooring, and we at least noticed some.
Yes.
That was still,
right
which means it's active.
Yes.
If it's wet, it's molding, especially for any length of time.
Yeah. We also
so
saw
we did
it from
find
the
that.
crawl space too.
Absolutely,
when
yeah.
we were in the crawl space, we could see where their wetness from that little refrigerator was coming in.
Yeah, so we did an isolated area, and we measured the moisture in the subfloor, measured the moisture from the top, and we tried to define a space. So we knew that floor had to come up.
Yeah.
We knew we had to have containment.
Yes.
Because when we're disturbing mold, we have to protect the rest of the house.
Yep.
So, and we don't really know all, but we have an idea of an area, because part of that could have dried up to a point, and over time, you know how that happens. And then you found a mold remediator who also did some HVAC work, ironically, but but he came highly recommended through. Were you on one of the Crunchy Moms groups? Or where did you find him from?
No, our good friend that was contracting the repairs knew Harley. Okay. And told us about him.
Shout out to Harley.
Shout out to Harley.
Good job.
One of the heroes of the story.
That's right. Now, this is where I think I was skeptical. When I found out, I was like, who is this guy?
This was really scary, because I was like, Barry is the trusted person. There were so many voices online, all the information coming in all the time. It was enough to make me spiral, also taking care of my sick little girl. And I was just like,
what do I do? What do I do?
I just had the idea. I'm like, okay, well, Barry is the trusted person. So it was hard, because you were concerned about Harley, but I grilled Harley. I used everything that you told me to make sure that we were using, is it Normie standards and IIRC or something?
Yeah, the IICRCS 520. Okay. That's kind of like the blanket standard nationally for mold remediation.
But you educated me so that I could be assured from Harley that he was doing what you said exactly. And he was also open to you coming back and testing when everything was open.
Third-party testing, very important.
And the other guys were like, I don't want him coming and contaminating my workspace. And I said, well, I don't have any reason to think your workspace is clean if you're not going to be willing to have the humility to have someone check it. So it was the response of him that was like, absolutely, I wouldn't do this work if someone wasn't going to test it before we closed it back up.
Yeah.
And those things, the fact that you educated me, I knew enough keywords to do the research to figure it out, to ask and make sure that I felt reassured. And then the agreement to do the third-party testing was kind of sealed the deal for me to go ahead and take a risk and trust Harley, because he was able to get the work done faster.
And God bless you for going through this process with it, because that's the beginning of a process.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't know how long this process was going to be. But at the beginning, we do things the right way. We want to say, okay, make sure they're vetted, make sure that they're insured for what they're doing, make sure they have the proper certifications, and make sure they subject themselves to third-party testing. That's in the standards. And that's the basics. Like, really, that's just, and hopefully everything checks out right. Now, I will say, these are tiny things we're trying to remove, not just off of surfaces, but out of substrate. And sometimes it's hard. Yeah. Because, like, if I see one spore of certain types, right, which we've talked about on this podcast, it doesn't pass. Yeah. They come do it again, which doesn't help their bottom line from a business perspective, because it's more labor and more time. Yeah. And hopefully they pass the second time. So they're already taking a chance to say, okay, I've already subjected myself to this. Yeah. I better get it this time. And so, ironically enough, he passes the first time. Yeah. And I went, okay, I know all the good remediators in town. Yeah. There ain't many. Yeah. We've had the top 2 on our podcast here. And this guy passed my test. And he's not even a mold guy per se. He's an HVAC guy that is getting into the mold side. Yeah. And I went, I got to meet this guy. And so we ended up, becoming friends, because he's a stand-up guy, and he knows what he's doing and he cares, so that was kind of a neat process.
And I have something I'd like to add for moms and women that are heading up this type of project. My husband was in the thick of one of the biggest, projects that he'd had in his career. And so I was heading this up, and it was definitely outside of my comfort zone in every way, but I was really grateful, and now I have come to anticipate and expect that the people who are working on my home are going to explain my questions without being irritated. They're going to maybe even explain them twice, because it's the first time I've heard it, and they're going to take the time to show me, to explain to me, and that's what I expect in my home now. And if I have a person that's working on my home and they're not doing that, we're not calling them again. Yeah. And so you guys really changed the standard with the way I expect things to be done in my home. And I'm really grateful for that. That's a huge gift. And I want to give that to other women who may be in the situation that should be the normal that you're expecting, and the standard you need to be upholding for the safety of your home, because you're the guardian of your home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's very kind of you to say that. Thank you. You have to have somebody to trust. So, and I believe trust is earned. Yeah. And throughout a process, we earn that. And if we didn't care, obviously we shouldn't be in the business. There's a lot of companies that want to come out and sell boxes or sell gizmos or sell, whatever to fix your problem. And they're maybe even well-meaning. But when you're doing a holistic approach to the health of a home, you have to be empathetic. You have to know that this is a process, and that process may be short, it may be long. And depending on the sensitivities of the clients and the history in the home, you don't know what you're getting into. So we have to come in eyes wide open. Absolutely. Trust and vet your people, for sure. So let's talk about next steps. So Harley passes his test.
Yes.
We have containment up around the kitchen.
Yes.
We actually expanded that a little bit because we had some in the air. Yeah. So we did some air testing. We did physical sampling. We said, okay, here's the area of influence that we know of. Right. We take the test. All right, Harley passes. We put back.
Yes.
Tell me what happens next.
So we put everything back. The crawl space was taken care of. The HVAC flex lines were replaced. We moved back into the home, and then we had to start on phase 2, which was fixing the outside stuff, gutters around the house, drainage around the house, and making sure that the way that our house was on a hill, that there was no water intruding into the crawl space anymore. So then that was a whole nother phase of the recovery process.
Did I come back after that initial and do a whole home inspection, or did I do it all on the front end? Because I'm thinking there was twice that I came out.
You did the check when it was all open, and you were like, it's clear, it's good, and we closed it all up, and we were sure that it was all cleaned up.
If I remember correctly, there were some pain points in between after we thought we took care of the problem, and then there is still a pain point. She's still sick. And then I think I did the whole house investigation at that point. Yes. Looked at the crawl, looked at that, looked at all the different things, and then And then some of that stuff started getting implemented, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think that we started out with the whole house inspection.
Okay, all right.
We started out there.
Okay, all right.
And you were identifying there were some things upstairs that, like, I think it was the fish tank that we had that may have been one of the sources.
Was that upstairs?
In the air, yes.
Okay,
upstairs.
I do remember. Okay, yeah.
So we had some things upstairs as well, and then I've just made it a goal that every year we do mold inspection because I have a highly sensitized child and we just can't afford to let any of it grow.
Right.
So the last time you came out, we saw that I still had some residual small particle cleaning that needed to be done. And since we've done that night and day, I mean, we've been at 95% recovery for my daughter.
That's awesome.
And the summertime is a big piece of that as well.
Yeah, summertime is always, especially HVAC issues that come up, which we had in between that time, we had HVAC issues we had to address too.
Yep.
So we had a couple of different companies come in and do a couple of different things related to fresh air makeup, filtration. I think we did some initial basic things as it relates to filters and some purification that we offered as an improvement after we got to the root of sources, because we had sensitized people. We say, okay, you need some offense and defense.
Right.
Some of that got into that fresh air makeup system as well.
Yes.
And that's been complicated.
Yeah.
You know, but we're still getting to the root of certain things.
Yeah.
There's always a little something left, that we have to track down. There always is.
Because there's just not a silver bullet.
Yes.
There's no silver bullet. This whole thing was a multi-level approach, a holistic home approach, addressing filtration, purification, humidity, habits of the home with HEPA vacuuming, the seasonal cleaning. So there's so many layers that have gone into it. And I really thought at the point that I was with a sick child and my house being in such a sick house syndrome situation, I wanted it fixed immediately. And I wanted to take the bull by the horns and just control it. And I was exhausting myself with that.
Yeah.
And I wish that I'd had the picture of how it was going to be in the future to just trust and release. But I just think God used all that stuff in my heart to set me free from so many things bigger than mold.
Yeah.
That I'm grateful for the mold now. At this point, I think the mold has been one of the biggest blessings of my life. Yeah. And I'm super grateful for the path it's put me on since then. But to the person who's in the middle of this, like this is 2 years into the process. We've been healing along the way, and we've been improving air quality along the way, and it was a process with lots of layers, no silver bullets.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate so much of your mindset with that, because having a grateful heart, obviously that's just who you are. And so I appreciate that about you and your husband. You guys are both so just grateful people.
Thank you.
And I think whenever you go through trials like this, that even in some cases, we didn't do anything here. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
And you're a victim of your own house, if you will.
Yeah.
And you're suffering. It's kind of to be able to have that mindset to filter things through changes your perspective to A, understand, trust a process, and B, come out on the other side of me to be grateful for that suffering, if you will.
Yeah.
That's I think a lesson for all of us in a lot of different situations. So to your point, this has affected many other areas of your life in a positive way, to see how, hey, we can get through this. We can get through a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So I'm good for you. Yeah. Very happy for you in that.
Thank you.
After we dealt with some HVAC issues, getting the fresh air makeup, big investment with that. Yeah. Right? That's this is next level stuff. Again, we have sensitized people. We want to get to the root of a big house. So all those things means, certain systems to be in place to kind of help with that. We come to the point to where she's going through phases now, if I remember right. She'd be doing well for a little while, and then she'd have a episode, or that she'd go, and we couldn't pinpoint, is this her detoxing well, but she did her detox stuff. So you're working with your functional doctor.
Yeah.
We built a bridge between the environment and the holistic doctors, right?
Yes.
But we've worked together with them on this process, and they're saying, okay, she should be okay, but she's not. Then this is, after a lot of time has gone by, what's next? Well, and we've talked about our fancy new gizmo that we've had the past 6 months or so. And we bring the Instascope in to say, okay, we're going to hunt in a way that we haven't been able to hunt before, and be able to look at the total biological load of each room of this house. And then we would ask questions like, hey, did we do the final clean? Because the house wasn't necessarily affected by mold specifically in other areas, at least with our other diagnostic process. We didn't see a reason. We did a baseline, just the basic stuff. But everything that we did inside containment, we took care of, and we knew that early on. However, she's sensitive. What else is she sensitive to?
Right.
Where do things come from that we bring into the house? How long has this been there, right?
Yeah.
So what old house did things come from? Whatever the case is, we did a diagnostic of the whole house, and we found which room is the worst room in the house.
Yeah.
Her daughter's room.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, the last room we want to be, active in this way is that one.
Yeah.
So then what was it?
Yeah, it was her polyester curtains and her clothing.
And bedding.
And her bedding. Yeah.
All the fabric-y stuff that holds on to this stuff the longest.
Yeah.
And it may not, for people that aren't sensitized, it may have been fine.
Yeah.
But for her, it wasn't. And the activity was there. Even more so than, because inherently we'll see that in all kinds of homes. Like the fabrics hold on to the stuff longer. It just does. What that stuff is, and how much of it and how much she can handle. Now, hers had more than most. Then we started asking questions like, where is this from? Where did these clothes come from? Where did these clothes? Well, these are the new ones. These are the ones from hand-me-downs, or these are the ones that we bought at a sale, or
and the
whatever.
hand-me-downs were the clean ones. That's how I knew. It's like, because you went through the closet and you were like, these clothes are bad, these clothes are good, and I was like, well, those are from my friend's house. I guess she doesn't have mold. But the clean clothes were from someplace else. They were older clothes, but they were clean.
And then the curtains were still holding on to stuff. And so those specific curtains were a different material than other curtains, which was interesting. And so, and I'm finding this stuff out too at the same time. Well, that's okay. Make a note.
Because you would think something like polyester, like a plastic, is going to be washable, but I think it's because it's hydrophobic and it's not permeating the weave. It's not coming out.
Right.
So that's when we did the science experiment and washed all the different curtains.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
so we did
fun.
Not only the curtains, we did the clothing with it, and we did, which this is on our social post. But I thought it'd be neat for us to talk about it here because it was so fun. Here's how I presented this to her. Because at this point, we're like, hey, we found the last remaining source in the house that can be influencing her, that has a biological load in it that is higher than the rest of what we have. And that was bacterial as well as fungal, allergen, etc. So all that debris is still directly on her person, and
24/7.
The bedding that she sleeps in,
never not in mold.
And and you're going, all right. So now that we find it, we say, okay, let's prove our theory here. And we say, can we get this clean? Because usually what we say is, depending on where it comes from, depending on the type and the concentration that we find from wherever that stuff comes from, we say basically you can't clean it. If it's fabric, you're getting rid of it, right? And at some point, you are. Like if I see high counts of aspergillus, if I see the presence of Stachybotrys or Cotomium in clothing, which I've tested before, then it's like, that's not negotiable. You can't clean that.
Right.
But you had people tell you to wash things in different products, and they didn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
What was it that you were washing with before that somebody said?
Borax was one of them that was recommended, and then a product called EC3. So we did both of those products and washed it with the same way, with the hot water soaking for an hour. And then the one that was most effective was the Dirty Lab enzymes and the Branch Basics Oxy in one load, soaked for an hour in the hot water.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I'm not promoting anything.
Yeah.
She said it. So she is the one that experimented. I just tested it.
Yeah.
And that's what we find is those things worked the most. So what we did is if we did an experiment. I said, hey, you want to get a little bit nerdy? Would you be willing to do this? And she said, absolutely. Let's.
Because I wanted to know, is all this work I'm doing working?
Right.
Let's retest these piles of clothes and these items to see if we really can get them clean or not.
Absolutely. And so we did the 3 piles. We did a control pile where we didn't do any wash, and then we mixed the curtains in each one, as well as the same types of clothes mixed, so that we had a good system. And when we found that, it was the first one I think that we tested, the first pile we tested, and we were like, okay, there was stuff in there. It didn't mean it was like gone, because again, it's hard to get this stuff out.
Yeah.
By far. Better concentration levels than any of the other things, especially the control, which was off the charts, by the way.
Right.
That's why I initially found. And so it was such a neat experiment, and I was like, well, there you go. Now we know what works better than other things. So if you're going to put effort in something, again, it's not a total, hey, this is going to get rid of everything.
Yeah.
We get into mycotoxins, we get into all those discussions. Like, it does not, there's no guarantee on that.
Because I had thrown a lot of things away that I was just like, this isn't worth it. Like, just take down the load overall, minimize.
Right.
But you can't afford to throw your whole house in the trash every time you get mold.
Right.
You're gonna have things. Sinks are going to leak. Things are going to happen. I wanted to know, well, what can we salvage? What can we do routinely? And that's the key too, is like routinely now, I'm always using the Dirty Labs enzymes, always using the Oxy. And I'm thinking there's going to be a collective effort here that we're lowering the load consistently with washing the clothes in this way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad we did that, because now we have answers for people.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason we're doing this for you. Yeah. So, you're welcome. And thank you for doing that, because you being willing to do that's going to help a lot of people.
I'm just so grateful, like we were talking about, the last step of the grief cycle and the last step of 12-step recovery is giving away your hope and being able to share. And it's been 2 years that we've been on this journey, and I feel like every day I'm exploding with joy that I'm able to help a friend that has a mold situation, and I'm able to give away all that I've learned. I've started to go to get my integrative health certification, and so I can be a health coach. And all of these things are the gifts. These are the blessings on the other side, and the feeling of fulfillment and joy that my suffering wasn't wasted. God didn't waste a single thing that we went through.
Never does, yeah.
All the things that He did in my heart to set me free from people pleasing, from hustling. I just had to focus on the main thing.
Yeah.
God has given me so many more things than mold ever took away. And in the middle of it, mold was taking a lot. I mean, it was one of the darkest moments of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful to be able to share with other people and give away what I've learned, and to see that there is another side, and to be able to have peace in the process.
Well, I'm so grateful for you to share your heart with us. And we're both thankful to God for the health of your home and the health of your family now. Yes. And for me to get to me, I just get to play as part of the process. And so I am honored to get to say, hey, it works, and we know the process works. And to see this through with people, to get to the end of, if you're going to use a football analogy, you get to the goal line and you're like, hey, we made the touchdown. Yeah. Just I'm honored to have been a part, and thank you for your trust. Yeah. So as well, God gets all the glory for this stuff, and so thank you so much for being here. And I just wanted to say how happy I am to have been a part of that. And I just, hope that you guys just enjoy your dream home.
Yep, we are. We're really enjoying it now.
And then, anybody that ever has any questions, with this stuff, obviously you can check us out at fourcornersenvironmental.com. And, we can answer any questions, but this is how it's supposed to look. Now, let's make that timeline a little shorter if we can, because suffering is not fun. Yeah. But if we can just, boom, 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 go through a process, but we learned about this process, together. So now we know how to do it more efficiently. We know how to, so like you get on board with that process, it will work. You get the right people, it will work.
Yes.
So anyway, I want to thank you again for coming. Just hope you have a wonderful day and happy. This is actually taped during 4th of July weekend, even though it won't be out. But enjoy your family on the 4th here, and let's celebrate America, all the patriotic things. You guys stay healthy out there. Thanks for watching.